Hello there, everyone, and a very happy Friday to you today. I'm absolutely delighted that you are joining us for this Art in Creative Studio live session. We've got Fiona behind the scenes, and she's going to be popping in some links and things into our chat. So as you join us, please feel free to also give a wave in the chat box. Let us know that you're here. If you have any questions, that's where you can post them as well. And between the two of us, we will make sure that your questions do get answered because we've got a lot of really fun things going on for you today. And we're going to be working on a mini album layout. And this is one that, although it's for Christmas, I think can be adapted to lots of different themes. So we've got a nice smaller size format using some 6x8 patterned papers. It's going to open up to a fold out style of album page where you can tuck in journaling and work in with some small photos. So it is a small but mighty layout. You're able to get lots of different elements on here, including some beautiful new papers and embellishments. And it's going to be a bit of Christmas in July today because we've got an absolutely gorgeous collection from Arden called Christmas Cheer. And we're going to be working with our 6x8 pattern papers. I'll give you a quick look at this and you can see, we'll take a closer look at this paper pad today, but the papers are absolutely just divine. I love them. So we're going to be playing with those, some embellishments, and we'll be talking about mini albums, how to fit a lot of elements onto a small surface, journaling. We've got lots of things to talk about today. So good morning, Susan from Wisconsin. Nice to see you. Hopefully those of you who are joining us, feel free to jump right in and say hi. We love to hear where you're watching us from. If you're watching us live or on a catch-up video later, you can also do that too. Alrighty, I'm going to change my camera here and we can start with our layout. And then I think what I'll do is let's go through the layout. You can kind of see the different components here. And then I'll show you the supplies that I'm working with, and then we can get into the demo. So we've got three different areas to our live today. So first of all, with this album page, now I really love, especially with the 6x8 papers, when you've got this vertical format, and you can see again the designs on here. But when you have a format like this and you've got another vertical format for your layout, this is a really fun way to work in with some of those kind of standard size or 4x6-inch photos, which is what I have here on the front of my layout. But then with smaller sized layout pages, it can be tricky to fit in more than one element. So here we've got a really simple fold out page. It's kind of a card style of layout. And on the inside, I've got a little folded pocket. And I've also got some journaling in here, some handwritten journaling. That's going to tuck right inside. I've also got two smaller photos over here and some more embellishments. So all of these elements are coming together really nicely and they're coordinated easily with our beautiful patterned background papers and embellishments. Now, in terms of the album page itself, this is measuring 8¼ inches this way by about 5¾ inches this way. And I'll show you the album that I'm using. This is one that I picked up at it's a Japanese, it's a chain store. It's a Japanese chain called Muji. That's Muji. And they have lots of really beautiful and quite basic, very easy to decorate stationery items. And this is one album that I picked up there. So it's got all of the ring binding in here. And then you can get these pages that will just fit right inside. And they perfectly work with your 6x8 papers. So this is something that I picked up, and this is the size of album I'm going to work in. Now, I'm not going to be working on the page itself. I'm going to be doing this on the 6x8 background paper so that we're all in the same place. But if you wanted to trim down your papers or combine these two together, what I did is just glued this right up to the edge, glued it down really securely, and then just trimmed off this little excess bit there. So that's the format that I'm working with. Now, if you find a similar style of format at your local craft store for your albums, that can definitely work. You can also, of course, make your own albums. You could use this format in junk journals or in your mini albums, your other mini albums. What I like about this one is that you've got a depth of about an inch, a little more than an inch on here, which means that you can add in pages that have fold out components or some lumpier or need a little bit more depth in there. So that's the foundation I'm starting with. Alrighty, so I'm going to begin here with my background paper, and let's take a look at the supplies that I'm using and where I'm getting all of these fabulous papers and embellishments. So here is our 6x8 paper pack. Now, Katie did an unboxing video, which you can find on YouTube, where she goes through all of the components of the Christmas cheer collection. There's a lot, and I really had to hold myself back because there's so many beautiful things in here. I really would like to use them all. But here you can see on the front of the package, you've got 12 different designs. They're double-sided, 2 sheets each, so you've got 24 in total. And you can kind of see the groupings on here too and how they can be used together. But of course, you can mix and match them too. And I love her style with this really pretty kind of faux texture. You've got your vintage elements in here, classic color combinations, and just a really beautiful all over look. I love the wreath. This is one of my favorites. And I think as a card maker, the idea I had for this is to get, so this is being 6x8, is to get a square card format, and you really don't need to add a whole lot more. If you've got some of these stars, for example, which I'll show you the ephemera pack they're coming from, maybe one of these little tags, that you could pop something together like this and maybe have a script sentiment, and you've got a beautiful focal ready to go. So really easy to use for lots of different types of themes and occasions. You've got, again, nice plaids, some text. This is the night before Christmas in both green and red. Again, a beautiful all over pattern. I don't know what I'm going to use this one for, but I love it. So I'm going to use it for something. Peppermint stripe, kind of a distressed stripe here. Beautiful all over tree patterns with some snowflakes. On the back is a turquoise dot and white. This is my favorite of all of the designs. I have to figure out how I'm going to put this to use, and I love the two of these together. So again, mixing and matching, and you can coordinate lots of different parts of this collection together. Now, this is just some of the designs because I've pulled out several other ones, which we'll also get into today. Now, also included in here, you've got 2 sheets of Kiss Cut designs, which have die cut pop out elements here with some sentiments, some script. You've got some really useful little circular elements, tags, the heart shapes. And on the other side, you've got some room for your own personal touch. And you've got another sheet in here with your words and sentiments and then all of the numbers. So if you like to do a countdown style of page, if you want to do an advent calendar, this is really perfect. You've also got on the other side, again, room to do your own embellishing on there. So this is some of what's included in the paper pack, which I haven't already pulled apart. And then I'm going to be using 2 ephemera sets. In this collection, you have the Christmas Cheer Journal Maker set, which is, I just love this. I'm going to show this to you in a little more detail, as well as the frames pack. And these are so, so useful. So I'll flip them over, and you can see on the back of the frames you've got, as you might expect, lots of frames. You also have those stars, which make perfect accents for so many things. And then you've got some circular embellishments in here too. In the Journal Makers pack, you've got tags and you've got some pockets in here. And this is where my little pocket on the inside of my page came from. And so we've got a lot of different styles of those, and I'll show those to you too. But these are a lot of fun to work with. And as you can see, all the colors are going to go together perfectly. And then the last thing that I'm working with today is the Christmas Cheer PET tape. And I'll unroll this. You can see lots of different borders as well as sentiments. And these are all kiss cuts, so they'll peel right off just like a sticker. Now let me show you. I've put them onto a piece of white cardstock. You can see them a bit better than when they're just on that roll. So of course, a long music note border, a shorter one. You've also got some sentiments that will work beautifully for card making. So as a card maker, I'm looking at this and thinking, oh, there's my focal, there's my accent, there's my border. What can I do to overlap these? Really, really useful designs. Also, if you do tags that will go onto gift packages, I think these smaller elements are going to be absolutely perfect for decorating those little gift tags. So lots and lots to play with today, and it's only just the tip of the Christmas cheer iceberg. So stay tuned. There will be even more to play with. All righty, so let's start with our background sheet here with this gorgeous plaid. And what I love about a classic plaid, especially for something like this, is that you can pull out from this background so many different colors from within the background itself. So you have a kind of two-tone green effect here with a darker and a lighter green, like an apple green in here. You've got some off-white that can go to white. And then you've got this beautiful classic crisp red design. So this is going to be where I'm starting all of my foundation from. And then I'm just going to build up from there. So on my page, my original page, I've got this fold out component, which is basically like a card. Now, if you have lots of blank cards in your stash, you can definitely put those to use. You can also score and fold your own from whatever cardstock you have on hand. And the white cardstock from Arden would be perfect for this. And so I've got this folded card here. And this measures 4.5 inches by 6 3/4 inches. Now there's no magic to these measurements. This is just what's going to fit nicely on my 6 by 8 background paper. And then from here, I've also got this large photo. So this started out as a 4-inch by 6-inch photo, and I trimmed it down a little bit just to accommodate this on the front of my page. And I decided to do some layering there because here's another design that I just think is so stunning, also from the 6 by 8 collection. I just love this. Now, this is what I really think of in terms of Katie's style, where you've got this kind of gentle scuffing in the background. You've got some text. You've got a beautiful border on here, all of these different elements, and you can use them as backgrounds. You can tear this paper. You can have it be a focal. You can do so much with it. It's just so rich in design possibilities. So from here, what I'm going to do is simply glue this to the front of my fold-out card. And I'm just going to grab the closest adhesive here. And we'll get this put down in place. So let's secure this down. I'm going to leave a little bit of a border around here. So I've cut my paper slightly smaller than the front of this fold-out card. And the reason I've done that is so that I've got a border between these two. I've got this white frame on here. And this is going to help to make sure that those two patterns aren't competing with one another. And then I'm going to take my photo, mat it onto some white cardstock, and glue this in place. And we're going to need to pretend that I have a photo on here. I realized I only have one printed copy of the photo that I used. I've got the original on my phone, of course, but I realized just too late that I didn't have another one of those. So you can imagine with whatever photo you have that this will fit just really nicely on there. And of course, these classic colors for Christmas mean that any of your Christmas tree photos, your Christmas holiday shopping, or traditional photos will work in here really nicely. So we're going to pretend that this is has its photo on there and that we're ready to go. Now I'm not going to glue this down quite yet. I first want to get into the inside part of this and add my background papers here. So here's where we're going to bring in some more of our beautiful patterned designs. These two here. Now, again, we've got this really beautiful combination, and I do love this with Katie's collections because you've got this modern sort of green, I guess I'd call it like an apple green, but then you've got the scuffing here with the holly. So it's also got some script and some faux texture on here. It has a lot going on in this beautiful design. And then we've also got a classic kind of old-fashioned script paper here. Again, working beautifully together and as well with any of the other papers in here too. Flip this over and you can see the other side of that. So there's a lot that we can do with these. Now I'm just going to line each of the inside portions of this card with my pattern paper. Because with something like this, you're going to have a bump where the fold is in here. I really suggest that you avoid gluing something in here and then folding it to go over that, that fold line in there because it can create some bumps and some kind of bubbles in the glued on paper. So I would suggest that you glue them separately to either side and avoid covering that bump in the center with any paper. Okay, so I'm just going to place this down here and I'm going to nest this right up next to, but not going over the inside bump in here. Okay, and smooth that down. And then I'll flip this over and from the back, I'll trim this. So let's just snip this apart. You could also, of course, cut your paper again slightly smaller to fit inside. And again, to leave a white border, that's also another option. And you can do any kind of layering that you want to with your papers too. Okay. So I've got one side on here and I'll just repeat for the other side. And I'm putting my adhesive all around the outside, and then I usually put a little bit in the center there too. And same thing over here. I'll just slide this right up along flush, even with the bottom and even along inside here. So I've got that little bump going along there. Smooth that down, flip it over. You can see I've already added some double-sided tape on the back here. So that if you're wondering what those red strips are, that's my extra sticky tape ready to secure everything in place. Alrighty, let's just snip this down and then I will have the inside of my card covered with this background paper. So once again, I've got my two different sheets on here and I can start adding in the different elements that I have going on inside. Let me show you again on the inside here. Now you'll notice that I've got this little pocket in here. Now this pocket comes from the Ephemera Journal Makers collection. Full of pockets, full of tags, full of beautiful different designs. And you can see them all on the back here. So I've got a couple of different file folders and pockets included in here. Again, lots of gorgeous colors that will coordinate with our pattern papers. There are two different versions of this little pocket here, and I'll show you how they're originally meant to be used. And then I'll show you how I put them together. So this one is the other option. So this is the similar style to what I've used on my page. And you can see that you've got facing pockets, or yeah, I guess you would call them pockets. They've got score lines on the bottom and then on one side. So all you need to do is just fold that up. And you may want to use your bone folder to score this. on either side. If you don't have a bone folder, you can use the handle of your scissors. That can also work. And that's going to give you a nice crisp fold. Now, what you can use these for is to simply hook them onto your background paper, and then you can put inside any of your tags, maybe some additional photos, lots of different things can go in there. So that's how you would probably be expected to use them. But when I was playing with these, I thought, oh, I've got another idea. So I tried out something else. So I'm going to fold up this other side here, and I'm going to slide them together. So I'm going to combine them, not individually on separate pages, but together, just like this, so that you can hook them together like so. And then you've got this little space in here. You could glue that down to secure it, but you definitely don't have to. You could leave this to be also connected, or a little open pocket on there. And this is what it will look like on the back. Now, when you're securing this all up, I do really recommend that you use an extra sticky tape. I have a really narrow one here, this red line tape, and to secure that all together, and especially when you're putting it down on your page. And it can go this way, or of course you could decide to have this side of it going up on top. And this pocket measures about 3 inches. My original is, no, sorry, this one is 3 inches square when it's all put together like this. This one would be 4 inches. So top to bottom and side to side. So I've got this popped on here on the inside. And it could go on this side, could also go on this side if I wanted to have a little bit of contrast. So maybe we'll do that. We'll set this over here. And then to add on to this, I've got some embellishments that are coming from the other ephemera set. So have a look. The Christmas Cheer frame set not only has these beautiful frames, and we're using some of the frames and some of the other elements like the circular elements here, but you've also got oodles and oodles of these beautiful stars in a variety of sizes, and with this kind of vintage or distressed edging along all of the sides of the stars. And so what I like to do is just pop some foam tape on the back of them, and then pop them down onto the edge here. So I would secure this down in place and then pop these down, kind of overlapping a bit, like so. And I also have a little tag here too. Now the tag I think is especially beautiful, and I could do my writing on here, but I also want to add one of the Kiss Cut PET tape stickers. So remember, we've got this nice long roll of these with all of our different sentiments and borders and things. And I'm going for this sweet little tree right here, which is just the perfect size to fit on our tag. So I'm going to grab this guy here. And just put him right in the middle. How quick and easy is that? And so then you can add, you need to add any other sentiments on there, and then just pop this on here as well. And of course, everything is going to coordinate really nicely. Now on my original, I've also got some jute twine in here. So if you look over here, I've got the sentiment, the Christmas wishes, which goes along with the journaling, and then this little bow tied in some jute twine. And I always have a roll of this on hand because it works really nicely, especially for Christmas themes. So I'll just tie a bow in this and snip it off. I always tie this off when I'm keeping this on the roll, and grab a little bit of glue, put some of this on here, and then add this on here and kind of let that set together to dry. when I'm doing that, I often will take a clear acrylic stamping block and place it on top. Trying to think if I have any close to hand. I don't. I do have a package of candy though. So we're going to set that on top and let those all sit together to dry so that that bow will dry in place. Now, as that's drying, I'm going to bring this in and let's take another look here at this journaling. So the journaling in here, the theme of my page being Christmas wish list, and I've got the sentiment on here. One thing that people often struggle with when it comes to scrapbooking is the journaling, and they wonder how they need to add journaling on there. They don't like their handwriting. Sometimes there just doesn't seem to be enough space, or it feels like you have to do something really personal or heartfelt. We do have a lot of information on a blog post on the Arden website on journaling. And one of the things that I often recommend to people is to try kind of a bullet point style journaling or a list style of journaling. And so in this case, we've got Anna's wish list from when she was, well, this is probably about 9 years ago, 8 years ago. So her wish list has gotten a lot more sophisticated than Playmobil and Lego, but I think this is a really fun way to not only incorporate the journaling for the theme of the page, but also to capture someone's handwriting. We all have feelings about our own handwriting, but it's one of the things that I think can be so beautiful on a scrapbook page is to have someone's original handwriting. Our handwriting just says a lot about us. And if you've ever seen your grandparents or great grandparents' handwriting, it is something really remarkable, especially since people aren't doing so much handwriting anymore. More of us are typing. So this is a really fun way to add in some journaling into your page too. And you don't have to do the work except get that handwriting from your child. So I've added this in here using one of the tags from our ephemera set. And there are several in here. So here are two that I'll just pull out. And here's another one that you could do some easy handwriting onto. This one has a nice soft background on there as well. So you've got some narrow ones, you've got a wider one in here too. I would also point out that from the frames collection, you could also, let me grab one of these with the frame. You could also get my candy back in my candy hiding place. You could also tuck this inside here too. So your frame, of course, these are all separable and you could pop this out. You could also secure them all together and keep them as one unit, but you could use this outside frame to frame some journaling, maybe on a scrap piece, not a scrap piece of paper, but a separate piece of paper, and then tuck this in here as well. So again, lots of options here. And this is with the larger of the two pocket elements that are definitely not meant to be used this way, but I think work really nicely. And again, this is just popped here on the side of my page. I've also got some other things going on the side of the page though too. I've got a Joyful Christmas, which is one of the stickers, as well as this portion here, which is the sheet music. So let's go back to our roll here. And I really like these kiss cut designs. They're just beautiful. The designs themselves are beautiful, but they're also, because they're on this clear backing, you can really just blend them into your background paper. Scoot this over and then just place that along here, just as a little accent piece along the side. And then we had a Joyful Christmas, which is here. And pull this off. So I'm going to say that this is positioned here and then pop this down along the bottom. Just two little touches, and it really does add some nice framework around here. I've noticed that I've got this here slightly crooked, so I'm going to gently work this back up. I've noticed with the PET tape that you can, unless you really press it down, you can generally get it back up if you need to. Okay, and pop this down again. Hopefully I've done it straighter. There we go. So you do have a little bit of forgiveness there. So we've got our elements going on this side of the page. Now for the other side of the page, I've got some smaller photos and then this nice long tag plus our sentiment star and the more merry circular piece. So let me grab a couple of these. The photos that I'm using are really a small size. I tend to print out a variety of sizes of photos when I'm getting my pictures printed. And these are measuring 3 inches tall by 2¼ inch wide. And I've trimmed them out. They come like six on a sheet, or they print 6 on a sheet. And then you can trim them out from there. And I've trimmed around with a little bit of a white edge. So I'm just going to layer the 2 of those like so. Now on my original page, I've got one of these long, kind of tall tags. And in this case, I'm going to use one of the wider ones and pop that down. And then my photos overlapping. I'm using one to kind of hide the mess behind another one and position those 2 on there. So this is a really nice way when you're printing out your photos, if you've got a smaller size format that you can use, that can really help you to fit in several designs in one. And then let's find one of these circular elements. Let's try the red. And that's going to create some nice balance here. And pop this here. And then I've also got another star. That star might be a bit big. Let's go back into our pack and find one that's a little smaller. These packs, I have to say, they are loaded. I think you can see as I'm looking through this, there's so much in here. The frames, you've got some striped frames, you've got solid frames, you've got more of these stars. I want this little brown star here. And then you've also got, of course, like your Polaroid size and style. This one. And they all separate really easily. So for example, you've got this really cool one. You've got so many different options there. Oops, I better not lose him. And then we can position this here too. Now for the words that I'm using, I can go back into my paper pack because remember, one of the Kiss Cut sheets that's included in here has a lot of these little words and sentiments on there. That's where I got the Christmas wishes, and I've also got the word believe. But then I also have some of the script sentiments too. So maybe I'll take this simple joys and pop that right down there like so. So then I've got my pocket, I've got my journaling in here, not yet, but almost. And then I've got my photos tucked over on the other side. So I'm fitting in quite a lot of different elements. Then back to my original project here, you can see I've got some of these large circular elements, and these come in a variety of different colors that match in with that color palette. So you can see this olive green and then the teal. They match size-wise perfectly. So I can have one on this side and then matching up perfectly with the one on the front of my project. Then also on the front here too, I've got this long sticker sentiment. I'm going to move this over here. We'll close this up, pretend that I've got my photo on here. And I can glue one of these right up here at the top, flip this open and position the second one over on the other side, on the inside. But I think also you can see just from my simple kind of positioning all of these elements down here, I think you can see how nicely these all come together and how easily you can create a really fun mini mini album layout. Now, the other thing that I will point out too, this worked beautifully for Christmas, of course, because of the gorgeous papers and embellishments that we're working with. But you could take the same layout, the same size, all of the same general types of elements like the pocket and the tag with the journaling, and you could replace that with a different theme. So, for example, if we're not talking about Christmas, but maybe it's her birthday coming up, of course, she's going to have a list, and you could include the same type of thing here too. Now, if it wasn't specified to a person or a certain occasion or certain holiday, you could also say, for example, if you were going on a trip and you have your journaling with your bucket list of sites to see, or maybe you do junk journaling or art journaling and you keep a list of maybe books that you're reading or various things that you're doing in the garden. Whatever type of hobby you have, you could also incorporate this very same small photo layout pocket with removable journaling and then your kind of fold out card style design to create something that will hold lots of different elements together in a relatively small space. So once I have this fold out portion all decorated, move this out of the way, pretend that this is all set to go. Then what I would do is just take the liners off of this back piece here, grab my background paper and position this on here, making sure that the fold is going in the right on the right side. And then you've got your fold out style of card design or page design. And again, this is finished. It's measuring 8 1/4 by 5 3/4. You can play around with the formatting of this. I think you could also do a really nice adaptation on an 8 1/2 by 11 size of paper if you cut down your 12 by 12 sheet, or growing up to your 12 by 12 layouts as well. So lots and lots of different options that we have there today. And of course, working with all of those gorgeous patterned papers and embellishments from Arden, then you've got plenty of different themes and designs to explore. So a big thank you to everybody for joining us today, whether you're live or watching us later on a catch-up video. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, hopefully a nice long holiday weekend. And I will catch you again in 2 weeks' time. So we're looking at July 17th, and I'll be back with some more tips and ideas. We'll see what other collections I may be playing with, or hopefully I get a chance to stay with this gorgeous set of papers and play with all of the other elements in the collection. And if you have not already looked at Katie's unboxing video, do have a look there. She walks through all of the elements in the collection, and you really get a nice sense of how she's coordinated everything. It's just come together so beautifully. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Fiona, for being behind the scenes with us today. Do take care, and I will see you again soon.